Hey guys, and welcome back to DarkLogic Studios' Attack on Titan theories and discussions. Before we go any further, I want to give you fair warning that these videos are going to contain lots and lots of spoilers. So if you're not caught up with the manga, then what are you doing with your life? Seriously though, if you don't want spoilers, you should probably click on something else. If you're all caught up though, then let's get to it. Alright guys, so let's talk about chapter 93. So, in this chapter, we're following up with the events of chapter 91 and 92, and I really enjoyed this chapter because even though we were given a lot of information in this chapter and a lot of new clues, it felt more balanced than the chapters have been. Like, we had a few chapters where it was just tons and tons of information all at once, and then we had a couple chapters where it was just kind of getting to know these new characters and they introduced to the situation that they're in. But this chapter felt balanced. Like, we got some new information, some new clues, pretty significant clues, but we also got a little bit of characterization and some character development in this chapter. And I really like that, especially with Zeke and Reiner. And I'm starting to really like Colt too. So I'm actually re-recording this because I done the audio for this earlier, but the translation was kind of wonky, and somebody tweeted me a link to a Reddit page where somebody had offered a more accurate translation. So I'm going to be going off that translation where available. I'm just going to quickly go over some of the really important things, but they deserve a lot more time than I can give them in this review. So we're going to talk more about those later in my chapter 93 discussion, which now I'm still doing my chapter 91 and 92 discussion. I'm just going to go ahead and post it as it is, even though some of it's going to be kind of irrelevant now that chapter 93 is out, but it's not quite done yet. Like, I had to pause that for a second so I could do this review and the episode review because this chapter came out so early. It kind of threw off my schedule, but anyway, I'm going to try to get them out as quickly as possible. So let's get started. So in the beginning of this chapter, we see the destroyed ships, we see some of the damage to the fort, I think, and we see some of the Marleyans having a meeting, and Zeke's there, and Colt's there, and Captain Magath is there, and Mads Mikkelsen. And they're basically talking about how the Titan power is becoming obsolete and what are they going to do about that. And they conclude that they rely too heavily on the Titan power and they need to reinforce their other military technologies. And on page 4 we see a little bit bigger map of this world that we're in. And it does in fact look like our world upside down and backwards. So I'm still really wondering what the heck that is all about. Like, it's cool, but I want to know what this means. Like, I've speculated about it before in another video when we first saw part of the map, and it says something about colonization politics and how they overestimated the power of the Titans. I'm not totally sure what that means, but it kind of sounds like what they're saying is the Marley kind of have a habit of invading other countries and trying to take them over. Like, colonization politics just sounds like a really tame word for tyranny. And then talking about how all these other opposing nations ramped up their military forces in order to stop the Marley. So the Marley are kind of assholes. But we already knew that. And they start speculating about developing aircraft, saying that the next battle will be in the sky, and the Titans would be useless for that. And then Mads Mikkelsen says, there are no Titans with wings? And we see that they're, for some reason, holding their meeting in a building without a roof. And he also comments about how the Marley don't have as much control over the aliens as they used to. And then Zeke speaks up and he says he has a proposition. And he says he thinks that they should resume their operation on Paradis Island to get the founding Titan. And one guy's like, what the hell, Zeke? Weren't you just paying attention? But then Zeke reasons that these other nations aren't going to just wait around and twiddle their thumbs while the Marley develop their other weapons technologies. And he agrees that they need to ramp up their other forces, but he tells them they should make the newspapers report that the Marley has occupied Paradis Island and intend to obtain all the Titan power. So apparently Zeke's only got a year left of his tenure, as they put it, and he expresses that he's concerned that Colt won't inherit the extent of his Titan abilities. So he asks Zeke if he wants to take revenge and make up for what happened 4 years ago, and Zeke says that heinous miracle, the only one that can put a stop to Grisha Yeager's actions is me, his son. And then Mads Mikkelsen is like, I never once doubted the devotion of the one that sold out his own parents for us. I'll take your suggestion to the party meeting. And then outside, Zeke and Colt are talking, and Colt says, even if I inherit the Beast Titan power, I wouldn't be able to use it properly. Because you're special, Zeke. Then he goes on to say, fellow Eldians who are injected with your spinal fluid turn into Titans and obey your commands when you shout. They can even move during the night if there is moonlight. This ability wasn't present in the previous Beast Titans. It's just like the progenitor Titan we hear about in the stories. And he says, I wonder why you're so special, Zeke. It's not like you have royal blood. Which is interesting because we do know, in fact, that Zeke does have royal blood. And apparently, the Marley doesn't know about this. His comrades don't know about this. His commanding officers don't know about this. So Zeke has kept this a secret this whole time. But why? Something fishy's going on with Zeke here. I mean, why would he just give up his parents and not tell the Marley this? I mean, what? Very interesting. And then Zeke kind of plays it off and he says, I wonder. Even the Titan scientists couldn't seem to find an answer. I guess we'll never find out until the day I die. Oh, though I guess you'll find out once you inherit my memories, Colt. My secret. And Colt's like, secret? What secret? And he says, this is kind of unusual. Don't tell anyone. Then Captain Magath shows up and he's like, no, tell us everything. But, it's funny though because, like, read the actual, like, this translation on the actual manga, this unofficial translation. When Colt asks about the secret, Zeke is like, my own way to wipe my ass, but don't tell anybody. And then when Captain Magus tells him to continue, Zeke is like, are you interested in Eldian asses? What the heck's going on here? But in the Reddit translation though, here's what happens. So Captain Magus comes up and he says, report everything. Or are you saying that Eldians need privacy? And Zeke and Colt are like, no, we don't. And Magus like, good. I guess I interrupted a private conversation. Continue. And Zeke says, are you interested in the secrets of Eldians? It's an interesting translation. That can't be what he really said, because if he did actually say that to a Marleyan officer, it seems like a little suspicious. Maybe it's just me. Because I'd be like, yes, I do want to know the secrets of the Eldians. Tell me your secrets, Eldian. Then Magus sighs and he says, I guess the meeting earlier went well, Zeke. Even though I've seen you grow up over the past 20 years, you're still a kid who I can't read. And then they start talking about the survey fleets they sent to Paradis Island. Over the past 3 years, they sent 32 destroyers to the island to check it out and see what's going on, and they all vanished. And he asks Zeke what he thinks about that. And Zeke says, I think that Paradis Island has the power of 4 titans, the founding titan, the colossal titan, the female titan, and the attack titan. I believe that Eren Yeager possesses the attack titan and the founding titan within his body. The colossal and female are MIA. If the female titan and colossal titan are both dead, then their powers would have been transferred to a newborn child, but we haven't discovered any such children on this continent. So there's a chance that Paradis Island is using those 4 titans. And then Zeke says, this all started 22 years ago when the remaining member of the revolutionary troop, the Owl, secretly sent Grisha Yeager and the attack titan to the island. With this spark, everything was set on fire. The royal family of Fritz changed its name to Reese and started to act with a policy of non-resistance. The King Reese was devoured by the attack titan and lost the inheritance method. So I'm gonna wait until the official translation to talk about that, but there's potentially some really interesting information there. If that is correct about the Fritz changing their name to the Reese family, then, well, I guess we know that happened now. And so basically, Zeke just explains that he thinks they have at least 2 titans who destroyed all of their ships that they sent. And we see the Colossal Titan and Eren's Titan, and I think that we can safely assume now that Armin is in fact the Colossal Titan. I mean, this doesn't necessarily have to be an image of them, this is just what Zeke is thinking in his mind, but he is certainly expecting for whoever inherited the Colossal Titan to actually be the Colossal Titan. So, like, I was kind of wondering whether Armin would fully inherit the specific, you know, colossal ability, because we don't really know how it works yet, but I think it's safe to say that he definitely is the colossal titan. And then he talks about the Survey Corps, and then he starts talking about the Ackermans, and he describes them as sub-products of the Titan science. Well, what does that mean? So again, I'm gonna wait until the official translation comes out to really dig into this, but what I think it is suggesting is that the Titans were in fact created out of scientific experimentation, and whoever the Ackermans are somehow came out of that. Maybe they were some kind of failed experiment, or maybe they were, who knows, some byproduct, subproduct, whatever. So that's really interesting. I'm excited to dig into that a bit more. Really want to know how this all comes together. Then we see Reiner and we see Galliard, and we learn that Galliard is Marcel's brother, who had originally went with Reiner and Berdault to the walls to take over the walls the first time. And Galliard's all like resentful and it's like, if I had gone, then this wouldn't have happened. And we also find out that he is in fact, Galliard, as I had theorized before, is in fact Ymir's successor. And we see her last moments up on that thing. It's really sad. Sad. I don't want Ymir to die. God, I wish I would have been wrong about that, but yeah. But he talks about the memories that he inherited from her and Reiner, the way he acted and with the Survey Corps. And then this girl walks in named Piku, and she turns out to be the Cart Titan. And the reason she's got a crutch is apparently she'd forgotten how to walk on 2 feet because she'd been a Cart Titan for a couple months straight, I guess. I didn't know that you were able to be a Titan for that long, but okay. And then we get back to the kids, and Udo's talking about, he's wondering what's going to happen to the Eldians if they decide that they're no longer useful as weapons, as Titans. And Gabby's all worried about Reiner, and they see all these enemy soldiers getting loaded up onto the ship to send them back to their home country, and they're all fucked up. I don't know if they like went crazy, they had like a psychological break or something. It's pretty dark. And then Udo's saying that they send them back like that, and it's just gonna show the world even more how awful Eldians are, and he's really upset about it. But then Reiner shows up, and Gabby's like, "Yay, Reiner!" It's really cute. It's pretty adorable. And like, all the kids are happy to see him except for Falco. He doesn't really seem to like Reiner very much. And he pats him on the head, and it's super adorable. Falco's just like, hello. And they're kind of goofing around. They want to walk around town, and Reiner has a moment where he kind of flashes back to when he was with Berdault and Marcel and Galliard and Annie when they were little Eldian kids. It's really sad. Like, I really like Reiner. Like, he's such an interesting character. You know, for an antagonist, he's a pretty deep character. I mean, in the sense that we get to dig into his psychology a little bit, and we see he has these kind of post-traumatic moments, and kind of got this split personality too. And it's like, Reiner, he's such a good guy, you know. He's like everybody's big brother, like I said before, and he's like a genuinely good person, and the fact that he's had to do all this horrible stuff really fucks with him, and like, it's really sad. So he kind of corrals the kids and they start walking off, and then I see this panel, and I didn't notice this before, but somebody pointed out this mysterious figure on the left there. This scraggly dark hair. Who could that be? Seems to be watching them. And then we cut to a train, and like all the Eldians are like crammed onto this car, Snowpiercer style. And Colt's like drunk off his ass, and he's like screaming about at the top of his lungs like how amazing Gabby is. He's getting everybody riled up, and everybody starts chanting her name, and the officers in the car over are kind of like, yeah, whatever. This is why I like Colt too, because he kind of seems like a nervous wreck. It's So at the end here, we see Reiner and Falco having a little conversation, and Falco, he's clearly upset at Reiner, and the reason that he's upset is because he doesn't want Gabby to inherit the armor, because he knows that she's gonna die young, and she's gonna die in battle, possibly, and Reiner kind of freaks him out a little bit, and then I guess they kind of come to the conclusion that Falco is gonna try and surpass Gabby so that he can get the armor titan instead, to save her from that, save her from what Reiner and these others have had to go through. So it looks like Falco is gonna have a pretty big role coming up. I don't know, like, I mean, I'm still wondering, even though Zeke said he wanted to attack the island before his tenure was up, I'm wondering still, and then you'll know what I'm talking about when my chapter 91 and 92 discussion is out, but I was kind of speculating whether the final confrontation is even going to involve Reiner and Zeke at all, because of these new characters and the fact that they're seeing who's going to be inheriting this power and stuff. But, you know, maybe not. But I'm really wondering where this is going, because every chapter I feel like I know what's going on, but then every chapter that comes out, I feel like I have no clue. More and more. So, pretty interesting. Like, I'm really wondering where this is gonna go. Alright guys, I'm gonna talk more about this in my chapter 93 discussions video, so keep your eye out for that. And also look out for my review of episode 5 of the anime and my chapter 91 and 92 discussion. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Peace.